Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully designed our sign up form page. So that is our all that field, that is our email, username, password and the confirm password, right? And also that is our logging. So now we have to complete our sign up portion, and also we have to complete that logging option. So if you want to work with this, first of all, what we have to do, we have to migrate it, right? We have to migrate all that our default database table. So if you want to migrate it, what exactly you have to do? I hope you already remembered that part. So here I have already run out one terminal, but I want to create another terminal. So that is our main project. So into the project area, I want to do, before migrate it, I want to save it all. And now I want to migrate. So if you want to migrate, then you have to write down as a pi and then manage pi and then migrate. Right, that means our pi, manage pi and the migrate, click as the enter, then it will be added all that our default table. You can see there is all that our default table, that means the Django default table is already initialized. That means everything is now perfectly set up. And also I have created one of the that is our app logging. So into the app logging area, I also want to do, I want to migrate it. So if you want to migrate it, what exactly you have to do? You have to write down as a pi and then manage .py and then make migrations, and then our app name I have created as a app underscore logging. Now click as a enter. So it's now showing as a no changes detected, and after that I want to run our migrate again, pi and the manage.py and then migrate. Now click as a enter. So that is all that our no migrations to apply. Because of all, actually I didn't create anything in our model, right? I have created the form. So for the reasons, actually it's showing as a no migration. So later we will do that things again. So right now, first of all, I want to do, we have successfully implemented all that our default database table. So right now, if you want to access it, that means if you want to access our admin, that means the admin, click as a enter. Now you can see right now you can actually access our this admin. So I want to create one of the super user. That means if you want to access that our admin panel, then we have to create one of the super user, right? So now let's do that work. So if you want to create that super user, we have to write down as a pi and then manage pi. So it will be as a manage pi, and then if you want to create that super user, you have to write down as a create, right? Create super user. And now I want to do, that is our command as a pi, manage pi and the create super user. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now showing our default one, that means the Amjad. So right now I want to use our default one rather than you can create new one. I have already discussed about that things with you, friend. Now click as a enter, and that is the email. I name it as a admin@gmail.com, and the password, I put that password as Udemy 12345. And now click as enter, that Udemy 12345, click as enter. You can see it's now showing as your password not match. Better I make it again as Udemy 12345 and Udemy 12345, click as enter. Yeah, you can see our super user is successfully created. So now if you want to access your database, that means admin panel, click as a refresh. And now I want to make it as a Amjad. Because of all, I name it as Amjad, right? So I name it as a by default name as a Amjad, that is my computer name Amjad, and put that password as Udemy 12345, click as a logging. Yeah, you can see now we can actually successfully logged in. And here that is our database table field as a user. So if you go to that user, right now I have created one of the super user as a Amjad, right? So friend, here I want to do, that will be one of the social media project, right? So for the social media project, when any user create one of the sign up form, automatically it will be created one of the profile page. That means this user profile. Okay, so how can do that work? I show you. So I hope you can well understand about it, what exactly I want. So when any user sign up from here, okay, when any user sign up from to this position, automatically it will be created one of the profile for a specific this user. Okay, that means it will be created one of the user, and also it will be created one of the profile. So how can do that work? For doing this step by step, I show you. It will be very much interactive one of the part. Like first of all, I want to create one of the profile. That means our user profile, one of the table. So in our app logging, if you want to create one of the table, we have to work in our models, right? So into the models area, that is our default import models, and also I want to import our user class. I have already discussed about that things with you. So that is in our form, and that is on Django. From to the Django, then the contrib. So from to the contrib, then the auth, and then models, right? That is a models. From here you have to input our user class. So first of all, I want to use it, and then I want to create one of the class for our profile. So that will be as a class, and I just name it as a user profile. Okay, profile, that will be one of the class name. Here it will be inherited our models. That means our models, and then model class, right? That will be our model. And then here I want to take some of the field for our this user. So first of all, it should be connected with our user, right? As I told you, when our any user will be created, this user related our profile will be created. So for the reasons, I take one of the variable is the user, and then with our this models, and then I want to create one of the one-to-one field relation. That means the one-to-one field. Okay, one-to-one field, and I want to create that relation with our which things. I want to create relation with our this user model, right? So I simply add our user model, and then it should be just like that same as I want to add as a on_delete. That means whatever the field I want to create for our this profile, when our this user will be deleted, this user related every data I want to delete it. Okay, so I will name it as a on_delete, and on_delete will be with our models, right? With these models, it should be as a cascade. So I have already discussed about that things with you before. And also, if you want to put some of the name for this relation, you can name it with the related name, right? That will be as a related underscore name, and I just name it as a user profile. Okay, I name it as a user profile, so it should be as a user profile. Perfect. I hope you can well understand about it, friend. And then I want to add some of the field for our this user. Like here I want to add as a profile picture. Okay, profile picture will be needed. It should be as a profile picture, and then with these models, it should be as an image field type, right? It should be as an image field. It should be as an image field type, and then where you want to upload, so you have to add that as a upload underscore to upload to in our which folder. So here you have to declare that folder name. So I name it as a profile. Okay, profile pieces. So it should be uploaded on here, and also I want to make as a blank. Okay, blank will be as a true. Sorry, true. So blank will be as a true. Okay, friend. And also I want to take another field. So better upload to, that means in our upload to folder, it should be created one of the folder in our media folder. So into the media folder, I have created one of the folder as a upload profile pictures. That means all that profile related picture will be saved in our particular this folder, right? And also I make the things as a true. That means it should be not required. Okay, so that means this field is nullable. And then I want to take another one as a date of birth. So date of birth, this type of one of the name. So it's with these models. That means with these models, it should be as a date field. So it should be as a date field. Okay, that means that is actually one of the date and calendar will be loaded. So in fundamental, I have already discussed about that things with you, how can add the date field. So first of all, I want to make that as a blank. Okay, so I make it as a blank, and blank will be as a true. Blank will be as a true, and I make it as a null. That means null will be as a true. Okay, I make as a blank true and the null true. And then I take another field as a website, and with these models, it should be as a website will be URL type, right? So it should be as a URL. It should be as a URL field. So it should be as a URL field type, and then I also want to make as a blank. Blank will be as a true. Okay, it should be as a true. And then I take another one as a Facebook. So if you want to add multiple field, you can add it. So right now I name it as a with the models. So with these models, that will be as a same URL field type, and I make it as a blank. Okay, blank is equal to as a true. Okay, it should be as a true. I hope you can well understand about it, friend. Here I have created one of the class as a in our model area. Into the model area, I have created one of the user profile. So into the user profile, as I told you, and if you go to our view, so into the view area, before we successfully registered one of the user, right? And here, as I told you, I want to do when any user will be registered, and after that register, automatically it will be created one of the profile. That means with our all that field, that is our user profile, right? So if you want to do that work with the same time, then here we have to work like after that true. Okay, here I take one of the another variable as user underscore profile, and with this user profile I have already created our model name, that is our user profile. Now I want to access it. So if you want to access it, first of all we have to also load it, right? That means here from that is our app logging, and from to the app logging, that is our models. That is our models, and from to the models I want to input our class as a user profile, right? So that is our app logging, and that is from our models I want to input it. That means our input this class, so I import it. So now we can actually use it. So here this user profile, here I want to use our this profile, and this profile will be what? This profile will be here. I have already created one of the user, so that is our user, right? So this user will be equal to our model. Into the model area I have already created one of the another relation, that is with our user class, and I take that our all data with this variable, right? So this will be matched with our this user. So it will be matched with our this user. When it will be matched, after that I want to save it. That means after that, here I want to do with our user profile, with this user profile I want to save this our profile data. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. That means when any user will be created, that means when our register will be as a true, and also at a time it will be created another this user profile, right? I have already created that relation with our this user. So with our user model, so with this user I have already connected. You can see when our this user and our this user, that is our registered user, will be matched, then it will be save this profile. Okay, and after that save, here I want to return it. That means the return, and with the HTTP response redirect I want to pass with the reverse, and with the reverse area it will be redirected some of the specific page. Okay, like it should be redirected to our logging page. So this is the logging page I want to redirect it. So I didn't create any logging page. We have to create another page for the logging.html, and also we have to create one of the URL. Okay, so better I name it. That means in our app logging, into the app logging URL area, with our app logging, here I want to create one of the URL path. That means it should be as a in our app logging, it should be directed to our one of the logging. I name it as a logging. So now we have to create it. That means first of all we have to create one of the page for our logging, and then we have to create one of the URL, right? So that means in our app logging I want to create one of the page, and I just name it as a logging. Okay, logging.html. So that will be our logging.html page, and for access this logging.html page in our view area we have to create one of the function, right? So now I want to do that work. Here I create one of the function as a div, and then I name it as a logging underscore page. Okay, that will be as a logging page, and here also we have to pass that our request, and then we have to load our form, right? And into the form area I want to use our another class as a authentication form class. In our previous blog project I have already discussed about that things with you. With this authentication form we'll get our two of this field. One will be as a username and the password, right? So first of all, if you want to use it, we have to load it. That means here, so that is in our from that Django. So friend, I hope you can understand every part. You can see how much relative everything. That means our from contrib, and that is our auth, and then the froms, and then the froms. Okay, then the froms, and from here I want to input our one of the another class as a authentication form, right? Remember, if you go to documentation, into the documentation they have one of the class. I show you. There have another class as a this one. You can see there is authentication form That means the authentication form actually is for the logging user in. So with this I want to logging. So for now that is actually our default one of the class. So now I want to import our this class, right? And also it should be needed as a logging required. So if you want to use that logging required, so that is in our form, that is in our Django. So I have already discussed about a lot of the time, that is in our contrib, and then in our auth, and then the decorators, right? That means the decorators, right? From to the decorators you have to input our logging required. That means the logging underscore and then required, logging required, right? So now we have to access it. That means our authentication form. I hope friend in block side we did the same work, right? We have to now do that things again. Like there is our form, and here I name it our authentication form. That means our authentication form class, I load it. So after that, what exactly you have to do? We have to put that conditions, right? That means the if, and then with the request, and then it should be check that method, right? So with this method we have to check it. As I told you before friend, with this authentication from class we get two of this field. One will be as a username, another will be as a password. So now I want to add this form in our this logging, right? So into the logging area, if you want to load that form, so first of all I have to check it. That means that is actually post or get. So first of all I check it with the post, right? And then I want to add that our form. That means our this form, and now here it should be as the same as before. So that will be our authentication form area. Here we have to pass that our request. That means our request will be as a post, right? So that will be as a post. And also here I want to take that things with one of the variable. I take it as a data variable. That means our requested this data, I want to save it in particular this variable area, that is our data. And after that, what exactly you have to do? You have to put that validation, right? That means the if our form, that means if this form is valid, is underscore valid. So first of all we have to check it. So here we have to check, right? Then we have to check our which field. We have to check our username field and the password field. It should be just like that same. I have already discussed about that things with you friend. I hope this concept is very much clear to you. So with this form there is another function as a clean data, cleaned underscore data. So with this function I want to get our which field. I want to get our database field as a username. So it should be as a username, right? And also I want to take another one as a password. So that will be as a password, and then it should be with our this same form. So with our this form I want to use our same as a cleaned. So that means the clean data, and then the get, and then the get our field as a password. So it should be as a password, right? And after that we have to match it. So I take one of the variable as a user, and then with our I have already loaded, that is our authenticate, right? That is actually, you can see that is actually authenticate. So friend, if you actually practice, everything will be more clear to you. You can see the same procedure, we just apply it on here again. So with this user, with this authenticate, it should be check our two of this field. Our username is appropriate username or not. That means username should be equal to our username, and same as password field will be matched with our password. That means our database field password, right? So when it should be matched, that means when it should be matched, I put on the condition if user. I take the things with our this variable as a user, right? That is our variable as a user. So if this user is not null, is not null, okay, that means if they have any user, then I want to pass it with our logging. That means with our logging method, here I want to pass that request our this user. That means requested user, I want to pass it. So if you want to access that logging, you can see I have already loaded. You can see I have already loaded our logging and the logout. So right now I'm using our this logging. Perfect. And after that I want to do it simple. After that it should be return, and then HTTP. With our HTTP response to redirect, here I want to pass with the reverse. Here I want to pass some of the specific page. Okay, so I didn't create any page. So when we'll create it, then it should be redirected to like as a profile page or something, another page, because of like we didn't create any home page actually. So right now I make the things as a empty. Okay, and then here it should be as a return, because here also we have to load our this logging.html, right? Because in logging.html area we have to pass our this form. Okay, so now I have to return with the render, with the return render. You can see, friend, how much easy it is. So if you actually know that basic concept, it should be very much easy to you. And the render actually pass two of this parameter. One is the request, another is the file location. So that is in our app logging. Into the app logging, I have created on the page as a logging.html. And then also I have to pass some of the data in our dictionary area. So I pass that context, and into the context dictionary. Here, if you want to pass the same as a title, you can send it. I name it one of the key as a title, and it should be as a, I name it as a logging. Okay, logging page. So it should be as a logging page. And also after that, I want to pass over this form. That means there is a clear form. I want to pass that form, right? I want to pass that form in our this page, that means our logging.html page. Okay, friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So now we have to work in our logging. So if you want to access that logging, I have already declared one of the logging, right? That means this will be our URL. So if you want to access that your logging page, we have to create one of the URL. That means in our app logging, into the app logging, I want to create another URL. Better here you have to add that comma, right? And then I name it, our path will be as a logging. Okay, path will be as a logging. In our view area, I have created one of the function, our function name for the logging as a logging page. I name it as a logging page, and I also put that our path name will be, because of all here I have already used that logging. So if you want to change it, you can change it. So that will be our path, right? That means here I name it as our logging. So when any user will be sign up, automatically it should be created that user, and also after that it should be created this user one of the profile, right? And after that it should be redirected to our this logging page. And then I have created another one as a logging. So into the logging area it should be put it should be checked with our authentication form. Our authentication form will be loaded, and into the authentication form area I have already authenticate. With this authenticate, it should be match our whatever the data I pass from our this authentication form that have the two field. One is the user field and the password field, right? It should be check it that user is the appropriate user it or not, and password is appropriate password is or not. So it should be check it, that means our database table field it should be check, and then it should be return redirect to a specific some of the page. And then with our return render, here I load our this logging.html. So now we have to work. That means we have to load our form in our logging.html. That means here, right? So better I want to do, I click on the save all. I want to continue this process. In our next video, we load our form in our logging.html page. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.